Hello and welcome to yourlocalnote.com. We've got another vidcast tonight. We're featuring the band Godshed Eyes, a bunch of guys from South Jersey. Is that correct? Am I good labeling you South Jersey guys?
Yeah, we're kind of based in Merchantville, so
okay.
right across the river.
Okay, we'll be talking with them in just a few minutes. We've got Jim and Ricky from the band. Also, want to remind you, we're streaming 24/7, so you can hear the best of Philadelphia music 24/7 right here on yourlocalnote.com. Don't forget that we have free apps. Just download them at the respective stores. Just type in YLN, download the apps for free, and you can follow us wherever you are with yourlocalnote.com. And we have a concert calendar, so you can find out where your favorite bands are playing. All that and more at yourlocalnote.com. If it has to do with the Philadelphia music scene, you're going to find it right here at yourlocalnote.com. Okay, we're going to kick everything off with the song Even, and it's from the LP Still Standing, and the band is called Godshed Eyes on yourlocalnote.com.
Can't fake anymore. Oh, now why do we wanna stay here? Why are we letting go? What do we wanna leave?
right, the song is called Even, and the band is Godshed Eyes, and their LP, the album, is still standing. This is yourlocalnote.com. And the band is made up of David, Jim, Brian, Ricky, and Mark. We've got Jim and Ricky hanging with us. We have an assortment of issues with the others, from sick children to just not being able to make it out tonight. But Jim and Ricky, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to yourlocalnote.com.
Thank you.
All right, guys, let's get to the band, and let's talk about the history of the band, how it got together, how you got the name Godshed Eyes for the band. How did that all come together for you?
Well, I guess we ran into Rick probably 6-7 years ago. We had got together with Rick, and Dave and I have been together considerably longer. We were in a band called Hinge.
Okay.
A long time ago. And after that blew apart, we spent some time separate, but over the years you realize how much you really love making music, and I was sort of recording on my own, and Dave was working.
It's like a disease. You just can't get rid of it, right? It infects you.
I thought I could get away from it and take some time off, but I found that it just was like this nagging thing that I had to get back to. So I got a call from Dave saying, hey, you know what? I know you miss it as much as
So he felt the same way.
Yep. And we said, all right, well, let's get together, because we had a real good dynamic going.
So when you split apart, you didn't really keep in touch then either?
No, not really much, for probably 2 to 3 years. Okay. And then we probably were playing for 4 or 5 years, I want to think. After it was we were both out of college, and it was this guitar player that I went to high school with, who was working with Dave. He put the two of us together. He said, Jimmy, the songs you write and the way Dave sings and the melodies and lyrical content that he devises, you guys are going to be great together. Right. And, we were just like, hey, whatever, it's another guy to get together with and jam, and he was dead on.
Oh,
I mean, we really blew up for a while all around South Jersey, and we enjoyed a good run for many years. The challenge was just, it always goes back to the chemistry of the band, and we had some musicians that we just couldn't keep it all together, and finally that all blew apart, and we were looking for a bass player for like a year, and then I think at that point we were burned out, and we just were like, let's take some time off.
There are a lot of challenges with a band. You spend a lot of time together. You have to have that chemistry, and then life gets in the way.
True.
And the thing is, because you get together, you're in your 20s, and as you get older, things change. So, I mean, it is a real challenge for bands to try to have a long career in this industry. So you go for a while, split apart. You're now looking for a bass player. Is that when Ricky comes into the scene?
It was actually after that, when we got back together again. Dave had put the feelers out, and he's always trying to get as large a pool of candidate musicians as possible, to his credit. And then we bring him in and we work with him for a while. And Rick was one of those guys, when he came in, it was like the very first practice, we were just throwing songs out, and we got through like 10 songs. Like, he picked them up right away. He delivered them. He's very enthusiastic and positive. So he becomes very likable very quickly.
How difficult is it, you're auditioning like that, Ricky? Is that something that's nerve-wracking, or is that something you're used to? It's just the way it's done. You sit there, they throw stuff at you, and you just got to make it happen, and you know whether it's happening or not right away.
Yeah, I went in pretty relaxed. Generally, I think I can at least cover any situation. And they called me up. They said, and Dave says, "Come on out. Just come on out. We'll just plug you in and see what happens." I'm like, "Do I get any songs or anything? Here before I get there, or whatever?" Right. He's like, "Hey, no. Just you're coming out today." So okay. I was like, all right, I'll do it.
So were you aware of the type of music they were playing?
No, it was rock music. So
that's all you knew. It was
general
rock
category that I got.
Because rock can be anything. Almost.
Yeah. So I just went out there. I said, all right, we'll see what happens. Let me hear what you got. And Jimmy showed me a couple of the chord changes. This is how the song runs, and I was just like, all right, let's see what you got. Just hit it. And that's how every song was like that, Okay. And I just happened to just feel it right out. I was like, oh, I'm in tune with these guys. I feel it. I felt the drummer. I felt, I was in on top of his beats. That felt good. The lyrical patterns I fell on. Jimmy's guitar playing. It's solid and it's melodic. So it just made it easy for me. I was like, this is easy for me to do this stuff. I just slide right in. So that's got to be
a pretty good feeling, knowing right away.
Right, it was effortless.
And you guys knew right away, Jim, that this was going very well?
Yes, absolutely. Once Rick came on board, he was the common theme for the next many years. We actually tried out a few drummers and guitar players, and we wanted to get something going right away, get back into the studio, get back to playing out. So we put a band together called Habit Stone, and it had probably a year or two run. It just was really rocky, and again, sort of just blew apart. part, though, the core stayed together. Rick,
the three
Dave,
of you
and I.
stayed together. Okay.
And we started. We took some time off, not even a full year, I would say. We hit it on and off. Some show would come up where we had an opportunity. We'd just grab a couple musicians and go out there and play it.
Right.
And we noticed we were building a lot of other musicians knew our songs, so it was amazing. Like now we probably have 2 or 3 drummers we could call that could come out. And if Mark couldn't make it, and some musicians that have these songs down good that make you say, okay, this is good for us.
It's like, remember that episode of Spinal Tap? And they said, well, we've had 27 different drummers over the course of the band. Well, that's it. We're up to about 22, so we're getting there. We're getting there.
They're all alive, though, right? None of them died like in Spinal Tap. I think they all died, don't they?
They just kind of spin off. You know, it's like a top spinning real fast, and if you can't hold on, then you get spit out.
That's funny.
And that's kind of what happened. So we got a pretty good core now that we're happy with. So.
Okay, very good. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play the second song off the album, Still Standing, and we'll come back and we'll talk more about the songwriting process. We'll talk more about the band and how you got the name Godshed Eyes. So the song is called The Moment. The album is still. One. It's a good. You like it?
You're gonna like that.
I'm glad you approve.
Okay.
The album is called Still Standing. The band is Godshed Eyes, and this is YourLocalNote.com.
Sometimes harder to believe. Although I'm wrong, you know I'm searching. Soul inside, I hope for the moment. I don't even give a damn what you think. I'm here. All my life I live for the moment. Stuck inside now that I'm older. I was blind, but now you know I see things better than I ever have. All my life I pushed and
That's Godshed Eyes. The song is called The Moment from their LP Still Standing. We're hanging with Jim and Ricky from Godshed Eyes. Just want to give a shout out to David, Brian, and Mark. They couldn't make it tonight, but the music sounds great, guys. Good job on that. Let's get back to this song, The Moment. Now, the songwriting process, we touched on this a little bit before we came on live. David has a lot of the lyrical ideas. Mm-hmm. He comes with the lyrical ideas. Where does the music then come from? For example, The Moment. Do you remember who started with it a riff?
He generally comes up with the vocals and the basic song structure.
Okay.
And he's like, here it is. Here's a chord. Here's a change.
Right.
So we have to weave that whole thing together, sew a bridge into it, pop a lead in there somewhere, figure out how we're going to start it, how we're going to get through the middle of it, and how we're going to end the song. So he brings us the bones, says, here you go. How are we going to make this work?
Okay.
And then we just build it up like that.
So there's a lot of talking about different things. Do the songs change much from the start to beginning?
7-8 times before you get the final version of the songs, if not more. Like I think you might play So Long later on, and that song, it changes as it goes, and we might just pop up, hey, got a whole new part, and just plug this whole part right into a song, and it's just like, that's the part we were looking for.
Have you ever been playing a song and then a different idea comes as you were playing live?
That's what we appreciate the most. That's
really?
The goal, in fact. Like, usually you get a shell of a song together, and you just are practicing it. At the end of we practice our set first, then we just play a bunch of song concepts. And what's exciting is as you continue to play them, somebody stops and goes, guys, right there, we put in a stop, we transition to this other piece, and when you get those juices flowing,
right.
That's when it's the most enjoyable of all.
I guess, and I was also asking, have you ever done a song live in front of an audience, got a certain response, thinking, maybe if we just fine-tune it a little bit, we'll get a better response next time? Has that ever happened?
I sort of think
we
so.
mistakenly played a song in the wrong key one time and it worked.
Yeah.
I think that happens, but
I think we get a lot of feedback. Like when we play out, there's little things we pick up that we're able to then incorporate and make changes. Because for us, it's always been about just constantly looking at a song and saying, how can we make it better? What can we shorten it? How can we tweak it? How can we add something or take something out that doesn't fit? And it's been a good process for us.
Very cool. Now, does anyone else sometimes come in with an idea saying, you know what, I was just playing around with this song?
Oh, all the time. Like I create a lot of riffs.
Okay.
And I put them together in songs. And so, for example, The Moment is one of the songs I created.
Okay.
But what's interesting is there's a lot of times that I'm just playing through riffs and Dave will be like, what's that? Play that again.
Okay.
And I'm like, Dave, this, and he goes, no, I'm telling you. And he's done it for like 2 or 3 songs for me.
You know,
he's got a good formula. He figures out how a song's supposed to roll.
And he knows, like, he'll hear the vocal melody where it fits in something.
That sounds very familiar. There's on Netflix, there's a documentary about the Eagles. And Life in the Fast Lane was a riff that Joe
Walsh?
Joe Walsh, yes. God, getting old. Joe Walsh used it to practice and warm up before a concert. And he's just jamming away on it, and it was a warm-up. And Glenn Fry said, what's that? And he called Don Henley over and said, listen to this. And the song "Life in the Fast Lane" was created from that.
Oh, the riff in the beginning.
That was just a warm up for him. So that story you're talking about reminds me of that. And so that's very cool. All right, let's go in a different direction because we had talked about this, and I want to get back to this. The song, the name of the band is Godshed Eyes. How did you come up with this name?
We argued and debated about band names literally for years.
Ever try to come up with a band name that's not already used or sounds pretty good?
Right. Well, I came up with my name, my on-air name, which is R.J. McKay. So but it was just me. I had to argue with myself. That's it.
That makes it easier. Because it's funny. We used to joke around and say, there's like I forget what the count is. It's like there's 8 million bands in the United States, and there's only 25,000 words in the English language. So every band to try to get a one name band name is really challenging. Yeah. And even 2 and 3, because I use Google to death, so I'm constantly, hey, is this a good band? And it amazes me how many even strange combinations of words are taken.
Yeah, we've talked to some bands who then have gotten into legal fights over the names, and that's that's just a headache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the same thing. We got a letter, cease and desist to use this name. Any income you've made over the previous 12 months, you have to forfeit.
No.
And we were like, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
It gets that deep. I just figured they just say to stop. And we were just a
small local band just starting to expand in the South Jersey area, and I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute here.
Wow. Okay, so
it's made us much more cautious.
Yeah. So how did Godshed Eyes come about then?
How that came about is going back to the guitarist. His name was Rich Wood, who put Dave and I together initially.
Okay.
He was the lead singer and guitar player in a band called Freaks of Eyes. And we played with them a lot. We were actually very good friends with Rich and members of the band. Rich and I went to high school, like I said. So they had this band, Freaks of Eyes, and one of the songs they had was Godshed Eyes.
Oh, okay.
So it's one of the songs we liked, and Dave said, "I say we use this song."
Did you have to get permission from Rich to do that?
No,
it wasn't taken.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still waiting to hear from Rich. We think it's going to be a surprise from him because we've been out of touch with him.
Okay.
But we think he's going to be honored because he knows that without him, we would have never come together and got
So
all
this
the
is
great
almost a
experiences.
tribute to him.
It absolutely is a tribute to him.
Oh, very cool.
That's how we see it. So it's sort of it's a song that we all like. It's a great song too.
It's a great song, and you all liked it. And as Ricky was pointing out, no one took it.
Right.
So
I should have brought the list of names that we went through because that would have been a nice read through.
Yeah.
All the other names that we came up with that were either taken or Dave was just no.
Right.
I come up with some creative and spunky names, but it doesn't exactly suit the band. Like I got like a funk band that I play with sometimes and a reggae band, so we got fun names.
Right.
Like 9-volt lover and stuff like that. That's it. I got a little rockabilly thing I do sometimes. So that was the 9-volt
So
lover.
you keep busy. You keep busy.
Yeah. I'm versed in a bunch of different styles, so I like to dabble in. I had a little rockabilly thing. That was a 9-volt lover. I got nose hit now. That's a little reggae thing I got going on. I get this going, and we have jam sessions at my place like frequently all the time.
So you have a lot of different musicians coming through. And
yeah, a lot of guys just spinning in and out.
Now, is that
try to latch on.
Is it then a theater / studio? What you called it a warehouse?
Really let this out, but
okay.
we got a little secret club that we play at. It's called the Sundown Club in Merchantville, New Jersey. Okay. So we have some great jam sessions there, and we practice there. So it's our own little hangout. So when I went through like my divorce years back, I had to have a nice Victorian house and everything. So one of the things is I want all those curtains. We spent thousands of dollars on those curtains. I want those curtains. I was like, you want these curtains? Boom! I just yanked them all down. I took them into my place and I hung every one, and I made it like a theater type of
So you didn't want to give her the curtains.
That's it. I said, you want the curtains? I said, right. So I set them up. So I made like this theater stage in my like warehouse building that I got, and I set it up. I got a good sound system in there.
Nice.
We got a dance floor in there.
Nice.
So it's also on Facebook under Sundown Club if you want to check it out. But
we will.
So this is our spot, and this is where we practice all the time and basically it's called the Sundown Club because back in the 50s my dad used to have a club back in Lawton, Oklahoma called the Sundown Club. Okay. And it was a bit of an outlaw club. They had some gambling, alcohol, and it was a dry state at the time. This is back in 1954, 55, and 56.
Wow.
So I kind of I kind of lifted that name, and he's got membership cards and everything. So it was the hot spot back in the day because this was in Oklahoma's the middle of the country.
Right.
So bands back in the day, you were East Coast, you were West Coast.
Right.
So you had to get across the country. So what they did, it was only one route back then. It was Route 66.
Right.
So you hop on Route 66, you go across Route 66, and every day you would stop and you play wherever you were at the local joint, and this place was around Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So he had thousands of military men that want to go out party every night.
Right.
So so he had the gambling, and he had the slot machines in the back room, and the tables that would flip over, and all that stuff. It's like, cops, quick! One of those things.
Back over.
Yeah,
That's great.
So it was quite notorious at the time. But the thing was, he got the best talent that went back and forth across the country. He got, in '54, Elvis pulled up in a pink Cadillac and was selling records out of the back of the car, and the Treniers, who were huge back in the day, the Mills brothers.
Yeah.
And my
All
dad's
these
got
people.
some stories. Big Ricky, I'm Little Ricky.
You're Little Ricky. Yeah.
So he was quite notorious in those parts, and it all came to a head one day, and they threw him in jail, burnt the place down.
No.
Yeah, so he was in jail for about a month, and then they opened up the doors and said, "You leave and never come back." So
that's how he left Oklahoma.
That's the story of the original
Wow.
Sundown Club. So, paying homage to my dad, I said, you know what? I said, that's what we're going to do.
Very
That's what we're
cool.
going to do. So we have a real cool logo made up. So it's kind of a tribute to my dad.
Nice.
The Sundown Club, and that's where we play, and that's where we hone our skills, and it's kind of cool because it gives us stage space. So it's hard to practice in a basement.
Yeah.
So now we have a big stage area. We even for practice, every practice is like a concert. Cause
I was going to say,
fog machine,
great
get the
sound.
strobe lights going. We got good lights in there. We got the 2,000 watt PA system. So so we have some good practices and some great parties, but it's underground, so
okay.
Remember that.
We don't want to burn it down.
We won't. Okay, we don't want to tell anybody, right?
So so it's a great spot. So
very cool.
Practice.
All right, let's go to song number 3. It's that we're playing tonight. It's called "So Long," and then we'll come back. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about the recording of the album, and then we'll talk about where you guys can be seen and where they can find your music. That's all coming up. So here's the song "So Long" from the album "Still Standing," and we're hanging with the guys from Godshed Eyes on yourlocalnote.com.
Close for the moment, all the times I never learned. It is a wall
right, the song is called So Long from the album Still Standing, and the band is Godshed Eyes. We're hanging with Ricky and Jim and talking about their music. A song like this, So Long, is this, again, David comes in with the idea and you guys start hammering it together?
I think this song actually came from work with another guitar player. The album is like an amalgam of probably five different songwriters were on it. And it was an idea Dave had back when we were really struggling to find members. It was Dave, Rick, and I, and we had a stint, maybe 2 to 3 years, we were bringing different members in, and just the chemistry wasn't right, and in Dave's frustration, he said, we're going to go in the studio, we're going to record an album. And at the time, we were like, shouldn't we get the guys first? Shouldn't we have all this come together? But he was right. And we went into the studio and literally over 2 years worked on this. And Dave's a perfectionist, so the work we did in the one studio, he ended up transferring to another studio and yet another studio.
Oh, really?
Reworking many of the parts.
Wow.
Trying to get the perfect sound that he wanted. And I know he's still not 100% happy.
He'll never be happy.
No. But he did reach the point, I think for him it was important because he came to realize that maybe what I hear in my head is either going to take something beyond what we have right now.
Right.
And that this is how it sounds when you put this much effort in.
Right, and I haven't met him, but I have a feeling that even if he was happy with something, then he'd start overthinking, wait a minute, why am I happy? There's got to be something.
You got him. You met him before.
I've never met him. Yeah, no. Just know those type of people. In fact,
that's a double-edged sword. Because you keep striving for perfection in the product, but you never really seem to attain that. That 100%, I am 100% satisfied with this product. There's always that little bit, I think we could have done this, I think we could have done that, and Dave's the I think we could have did this kind of guy. And Jimmy and I are like, sounds good, man.
My wife is like that. You know, she's also in the radio business, and she's a perfectionist. But and I hate to bring this up because this is probably not a great time to bring this up, but Vince Lombardi, the old Green Bay Packer coach, and I hate to bring it up because of yesterday, the beating that the Eagles took. But he had a great line. He said, you know, we're going to strive for perfection because along the way we'll hit greatness. And
so we got to use that.
You like that?
Yeah,
okay.
I like that.
Got to quote Vince Lombardi. It's a famous quote by him.
He's got a few.
But you know, some people who do that, successful people, that's their thoughts. You know, go for perfection, but you'll hit a lot of great things along the way.
And if you do end up hitting it, then.
Well, the album sounds great. I checked out, I think, about 4 or 5 songs, and I really like what I hear, what you guys are doing. Right. So it's good stuff. I mean, David's vocals I think are awesome. Yeah. And it sounds great with the band. So you were in 3 different studios putting this album together.
Yeah.
And 2 years. How frustrating is it for you guys then, dealing with that?
You know what? I think there was so much going on in life at the time that it wasn't as frustrating as it would have been. And I think the other thing is, like on previous albums that Dave and I worked on, I was much more heavily involved because my perspective was always like, okay, I want perfection too. I'm a perfectionist too. But I've also come to sort of realizing that at a point you got to say good enough and move on.
Right.
But with this one, I felt it was sort of important to totally
let him handle
it. And we would reach out and talk about where he was with things, and I would give him some encouragement and tell him just get it to where you know it's the best, and don't frustrate yourself to the point where you're going crazy.
Right, because at some point you then just stop and say, I can't get this thing to work.
Yes.
And that becomes an issue too.
Yes.
Ricky, you seem to have an opposite type of personality. How was that waiting for the album to come together?
Personality-wise? Yeah. I'm probably the most different out of anybody in the band, personality-wise, probably. So as far as waiting for the music, I just I got 2 businesses I run on my own, so
you're busy enough.
It was like, it's done, it's recorded, let me hear it when it's done. And when it finally came through and I get the finished product, I'm like, that's it? Oh my God, it sounds fabulous.
Yeah, it does sound good.
I just had no idea it was going to turn out to be that good. When I heard it, I'm like, it didn't sound that good in the studio, but man, it sounds great now.
So David did all the work with it? I mean, did he do the mastering? Did he do...
He sat there for most of it.
He went in with the producers and the engineers.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And then went through the whole process with them.
Yep.
Okay.
Tedious process.
Yeah.
Very tedious.
It can be, and the problem is for bands is that becomes expensive then too.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big problem for it. That's probably why there was some of the time length in there too. Over 2 years, you switch to a new studio, you can raise some funds, invest them, and keep moving on.
Okay. All right. So this album came out when?
It actually hasn't even been released yet. We're looking at a spring date.
Oh, okay. I missed that then.
Or sooner.
Okay, because I was looking at the website. I thought it was released this past spring. I misread it.
Just about, yeah. Just
okay.
about. Basically, everything's done. Everything's recorded. It's all mastered. We're just going to get made up. I think it's probably done by, hopefully Christmas time is what we're hoping.
Okay.
So
and then support it with some touring.
We're going to hit all the local watering holes,
right.
that everybody else does, in Philly. And like we just did a really great gig. Was it about 2 weeks ago at a place called Liberty Vintage? Mm-hmm. You might be familiar with. They used to film. I think it was called Philly Throttle there, and what a great gig that was. I mean, around here you play bars all the time.
Right.
You maybe play we played an outdoor music festival we did this year. But we played this. It's a motorcycle warehouse / museum / garage.
Cool.
And it was dirty, and there's all like, metal droppings from welding in there and motorcycle parts all over the place. But it's a huge warehouse.
Right.
That's Adam Kramer's gig over there. It's out on Frankfurt Ave in Fishtown. And they had the Cotton Candy Circus there. So, we got lights, we got motorcycles, you got a full packed house full of people. And the Cotton Candy Circus was there, which is, they were doing basically aerial acrobatics in front of us while we're playing, which was, a little distracting, but, we pulled it off, so it was quite a gig.
Especially if they fell. That would really, put a damper on the
show.
show.
They were very professional. It was impressive. It really was. I was like, what a concept.
It's a little hard to concentrate on what you're doing, because you're just like, at the same time you're playing, you're just watching a beautiful woman over top of your head, just twirling and twirling down this silk curtain right in front of you, just like, you okay? And swinging back and forth. So, I saw an abandoned swing there, so I said, I got the perfect idea for the ending of the song. Whack a big in chord, grab onto that, swing across the stage, plop on the other side. Man, we just had a blast at that gig.
Great.
It was fun because it just wasn't your average bar gig that, you go up on stage, do your set 40 minutes and off you go. Next band, next.
And a lot of times the stages are small because you're not dealing with a big building. I mean, it's no fault of the owners, but it's just the way
something different. It's open. It didn't feel crowded. Had that instead of smelling like beer and cigarettes, you smelled gasoline and cigarettes. Which was great. Oil, And there's a helicopter hanger from the ceiling and a hang glider and an old Austin Healey over there, and you're stepping over like motor parts and stuff. It was great. So it's an unusual gig. So
have you played then some of the songs live? That are on the album?
Yes. All of them, essentially,
And you're getting good response from the fans?
Definitely. Basically, when we play somewhere, we get invited back.
Cool.
So it's been a very positive response.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's kind of what keeps us going is we just get tremendous positive feedback. People are like, man, I had no idea you guys were that good. Not that we're tooting our own horn or anything, but basically you get that, when you get that kind of, you're like, thanks, man. We're very appreciative of the support we get,
sure.
And every time we do a gig, the fan base just grows and grows and grows, and we're very appreciative of that. And we do gigs, we toss out CDs and T-shirts. Just we would just thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming and supporting the music.
Speaking of gigs, when is your next gig? Do you know off the top of your head?
Next one's at Dobbs in like 2 weeks.
Okay,
Dobbs, I think December 6th.
December 6th.
December 6th will be at Dobbs. We've got a few other things in the works that.
Then what you'll do then is when you find out, you'll let us know so we can put it on our concert calendar.
Yeah, we'll do that. We got a couple
that.
good things cooking, and we'll probably do a concert at the Sundown Club. Maybe we'll let you know about that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we'll promote that. And come out.
It's fun.
All right. Where can people find your music?
We're on Facebook, and we have a website, www.godshedeyes.com.
Okay.
And the link to Facebook is there, or just basically do a search on Godshed Eyes, and you'll see some links.
Okay, very good. And Twitter is @Godshed Eyes. I was able to pick that up, so very cool. All right, then, very good. Guys, really appreciate you hanging out with us.
That's great.
And what we'll do is we're going to play the last song called Maybe. Real quickly, before we get there, Still Standing, is how did you get the title of that song? Where did that come from?
That was totally given up to Dave. We figured Dave invested so much time, energy, effort, and we said, Dave, you come up with the title for this, and I think it's basically him surviving the recording.
It was very appropriate. We all had a pretty rough and crazy last year and a half with personally between all of us, and just at the end of it, we just feel like finally, we are still standing.
That's
after
good.
everything we went through. We're still able to get out there and play music. We didn't let anything shut us down. We didn't give up. We just we're still standing
Excellent.
through this whole process.
And the music sounds great. I really think you guys did a great job with that. David's vocals are fantastic. So good job and congratulations on the album and good luck with it. So we're going to wrap things up with the song Maybe, but just want to remind you real quickly, we'll have another vidcast starting on Monday. We have a new one every single Monday. And of course, we have another live vidcast coming up on Wednesday. So check that out. You can follow us on Twitter because that's where we put all the information as far as when we're going to be live and when the new vidcasts are up. So check that out. And it's at Your Local Note Twitter account, and also at YLN Radio is another one that we have. We have two Twitter accounts. Don't forget, we're streaming 24/7, and you can download our apps for free at the respective stores. YLN, type it in, and you can just download it for free and take it with you. Check out the concert calendar and all the other good stuff that we have on yourlocalnote.com. We've been hanging with the guys from Godshed Eyes. This is yourlocalnote.com.